Now, another question that's been sent to me, I believe it's common to most people in some form or another. The question was, how do I live for God and something greater than myself? I think I understand the idea intellectually, but I still feel so small, selfish, and purposeless. I have no idea how or whom to serve. I feel stuck, like I don't know how to make anything of my spiritual aspirations and impulses. Can you help me, please? Again, I think this is a common experience for people in some way. Once they begin meditating, once they start dedicating themselves to an awakening process or a spiritual growth process, they read all the books about saints and sages being inspired to something greater than themselves. And that creates this image in their mind that they need to, in a sense, sometimes feel and experience, and their life needs to look like that for them to have some kind of purpose. And what you find, or what I have found, meditating regularly for almost 2 decades now, is that you already are living for God. You already are living for something greater than yourself. But right now your self-awareness is dim. And it's hard to understand that. It's hard to accept that because the mind is addicted to stimulus. It's addicted to something great. It's addicted to something big. It's addicted to being able to define things in a fantastic way. So to understand intellectually that you are a part of God, that's a good start. That's a good start. But when you start meditating, again, this idea of self-awareness arises. I talked about this in the previous discussion on trauma and meditation. One of the main root causes of pain is absence of self-awareness. When you have self-awareness, you know what you are. You know that this body, this mind, this personality is temporary, and that the life that flows through it, that is it, that is the eternal. And when you start meditating, you start practicing yoga, one of the first things your self-awareness illuminates or enlightens you to is just how small and selfish and purposeless you have been defining how you've been defining yourself in that way. And that becomes painful. And then it creates, again, like a feedback loop where you meditate and you get calm and clear. And you start to feel the sense of smallness and selfishness and purposelessness. But you don't have anything to compare it to. You've not been able to experience yet that piece of like a oneness consciousness where everything is calm and clear and you have a sense that you are a part of everything. And when you've not had that, it can be, again, difficult and painful when all you can see is smallness, selfishness, and purposelessness. So one of the things that you do is just acknowledge that, because the absence of self-awareness is the primary root cause of pain, again, related to Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. So if you continue to become more aware, hold more self-awareness, one of the ways to develop that, to move beyond the sense of smallness, selfishness, and purposelessness, is to meditate for a while until you are as calm as you can be, and then contemplate. So you meditate, we'll just say for 20 minutes, and then for another 5 to 10 minutes, once you're calm and clear, you hold your awareness on your heart, and you acknowledge how you feel small, selfish, and purposeless. And then you feel it, and you ask yourself, what am I that feels small, that feels selfish, that feels a lack of purpose? What am I that feels that? And you meditate on that. And you hold that in your heart as though you're expecting an answer to it. And so you ask it, and then you're quiet for a while. You wait. You listen. And you may do this for days, for weeks, for months. But in time, what starts to happen is that self-awareness cracks you open a little bit more each day, maybe 1/10 of a millimeter each day. And so in time, that that grows stronger and bigger and clearer, that crack. And then you have an aha moment of the difference between you as the eternal, the difference between you as that wholeness of life, and that small mind that says you're selfish, you have no purpose, you're small. And you start to see the difference between what other people say. Oh, well, you would have a greater sense of purpose, you would be less selfish if you did these things. You start to see all the conditioning that has been given to you, that you have perpetuated for yourself, and then you are able to recognize that it was just a habit of the mind. And the more that you're able to exist in that space of openness, peacefulness, clarity, the sense of selfishness and smallness fades away. And you become more aware of that everything you do is part of the wholeness of life. That every activity, however small or mundane you judge it to be, is part of it. That every trial you come up against, every tragedy that blows through your life, it's part of this wholeness. That every joy is part of the temporary rise and fall, the rise of the wave and then the trough. And then that sense of heaviness falls away. Your life may not change radically, but your awareness of it changes. Now, some people have radical changes where they have this aha moment. They think, wow, I've been such an asshole to this person, and I really need to change and stop doing this and start being more helpful in this regard. Sometimes that happens. But since most people aren't that bad who want to practice meditation yoga in the first place, what they tend to find is, oh, going out in my garden, that's enough purpose for now, for today. Doing my job well, that's enough purpose for today. Simply meditating for the sheer joy of meditating, not to make myself any better, not to change anything, just to practice focusing my awareness within. That's enough for today. And this will not seem like enough because you are attached, addicted to the mind, which wants something new every moment. But what we're doing with yoga and meditation is we're bringing ourselves, we're releasing ourselves from that addiction to the mind, which screams and says, no, you must be doing something important, something that you feel is important from childhood, something that your parents think is important, something that your friends will look at you and say, yes, that's important, that's spiritual, or whatever it may be. The mind rebels against this. And that is where so many people have such trouble. So if you're feeling small, selfish, and purposeless, it's your mind telling you that. And the best way to rise above that is to meditate as clearly as possible and expand your awareness, and you can hold your attention in your heart and again ask, who or what am I that is aware of this feeling of purposelessness and smallness and selfishness? And if you do that long enough, eventually there will be a break, there will be a click where you'll catch a glimpse of the real you, which doesn't care what the mind has to say. And you'll get almost like a breath of fresh air come in. And it'll just be for an instant, but you recognize it. And you need to remember it. And then maybe you'll go back into your old patterns, but then you meditate again the next day and say, what was that? What was that? What am I? What was that arose, that revealed to me the truth of what I am? And each day you do that, you move a couple tenths of a millimeter away from addiction to what your mind tells you, until eventually you become a little freer and a little freer and a little freer. And then you can use your mind when you need to. But when you don't, you can exist with the knowledge of what you are, which is typically peaceful. And then when troubles arise, from that more peaceful space, you can interact with that trouble, again, such that you don't damage yourself more by being neurotic about whatever your mind wants you to be neurotic about. So this is part of the path of practicing meditation and the path of practicing Kriya Yoga. And there's nothing that anyone can do for you that's just going to make that change. You have to hold that self-awareness long enough to realize that's the case, the things that we've been discussing. And then in your meditation, even if you have that sense of doubt, nudge yourself through it, push yourself through it. Many times we have to do that in meditation until we become natural at it, until we realize we have a little more capacity to manage my mind than I give myself credit for. And once you realize that, again, you become a little freer, a little more self-realized, a little clearer. And then your life becomes a practice of Kriya Yoga, of meditation. You don't even have to think about it anymore. So consider these things when you get caught up in this idea of I'm small, I'm selfish, I'm purposeless. It's not true. It's just that you're not doing the things that your mind thinks you should be doing to get rid of that. And that's just an addiction. It's a habit. Again, assuming that you're not actively harming yourself or others, and you're not actively just laying around on the couch eating potato chips all day long. Although there's a place for that too. But you understand my point. And by saying there's a place for it, I meant there's a place for sitting on the couch eating potato chips, not necessarily harming others or yourself. So try to expand your consciousness a bit more with meditation and focus on that question, what am I that feels that I have no purpose? What am I that feels I'm small and selfish? The more you focus on that question, the truth of the matter will be revealed to you, and that question will eventually fade away.